All right, so we're finally going to wrap up the first New Deal um, measures. And so these are going to be things that look at housing as well as a few other measures that don't really fit into any category. But first, we're going to look at housing. So the housing industry was devastated in the Depression. Construction ceased, banks that financed homeownership collapsed, or in order to stay afloat, they foreclosed on a lot of homes. Millions of Americans were forced to live in slums and sort of shantytown type things. And so the situation was pretty dire. FDR really wanted to create a program that would protect homeowners from foreclosure and help to stimulate new construction projects. And so we see the passage of the Homeowners Loan Corporation and the Federal Housing Administration. Both of these organizations together work to ensure millions of long-term mortgages by private banks in order to encourage people to buy homes as well as to be able to stay in their homes. We also see the construction by the federal government of low rent housing for more individuals so that we can get people into homes. Again, the goal here was to protect homeowners from foreclosure, expand access to homeownership as well through offering low interest homeownership loans, and the availability of inexpensive rental housing and new construction projects. Ultimately, through these measures, we were able to preserve homeownership or allow many Americans to attain homeownership for the first time. And Roosevelt creates an affirmation of the notion of security of the home as a fundamental right for all Americans. Other initiatives in the first 100 days or as part of the first New Deal include things like the repeal of prohibition, which is something that Roosevelt campaigned on in 1932. We also have the introduction of the Federal Communications Commission, which is created to oversee the nation's broadcast airwaves and telephone communications. Securities and Exchange Commission, which is created to regulate stock and bond markets, and other organizations like this. Overall, the impact of the first New Deal, the first 100 days, is that we see a transformation in the role of the federal government through the scale of the relief projects and the scale of the sort of public projects, public work projects, and things like that. Although the measures taken in the first New Deal do make some improvement for some Americans, it doesn't actually end the Depression. There's still some 10 million Americans, more than 20% of the workforce, unemployed by the end of 1934. And this group is going to be a key source of growing opposition for Roosevelt and towards his New Deal. And so the next thing that we're going to look at is that opposition coming from a number of different sectors and challenging Roosevelt to do better as we slide into 1934 and 1935. So that's where we're going.